Everyone, we are likely to have another 9 to 12 more months of this aggressive upward price trajectory for Bitcoin before we see a major price correction. Now, why is that? Well, a couple reasons. One, it just takes time for the adoption of anything to happen before all of the people that are reachable in a given price cycle are reached. Now, I know what you're thinking. What you're thinking is you are aware that Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high today, just under $95,000 per coin. You are aware that Bitcoin is up 50% in the last month or two. You are aware that I'm posting stuff about Bitcoin on Facebook all day, every day. You are aware that there seems to be Bitcoin everywhere. Does not apply to 95% of the world right now. If you went and polled a random 100 people that you happen to know, I'll bet you 95% of them will not even be aware that Bitcoin is on a bull run right now, meaning an optimistic upward trajectory run. 95% of the world is completely oblivious to the fact that Bitcoin is rising in price right now. So what will happen? Well, if only 5% of the world is even aware that Bitcoin is way up, I mean, like up a lot, like way up, then what's going to happen is it takes time for everyone in the world to figure that out. And then for everybody who is reachable in this price cycle to learn about it. Let me tell you what I mean. Okay, so as the price goes up, the percentage of people in the world that could possibly know that Bitcoin is way up gets higher and higher. So let's say right now it's about 5% of the world is aware that Bitcoin is way up and is climbing and like aggressively. Okay, what will happen over the next month is another 5% of the world will find that out. And they will buy Bitcoin, or a percentage of them will buy Bitcoin because they will not want to miss out on Bitcoin's upward price trajectory. What will happen, in January is another 10% of the world will figure out. Then in February, another 15% of the world will figure out. Then in March, another 20% of the world. Basically, it's like this knowledge adoption arc. If you look at like a sort of the first half of a bell curve, as the world figures out that Bitcoin is way up. And what happens is as people keep climbing on the train and as the price keeps going up, eventually it does become unsustainable and the price does come back down, but it comes down back to typically a price that's much higher than today's price. And the reason it doesn't just stay high forever is because some of those people that are climbing aboard the train have no idea what they're doing. They're investing money that they really can't afford to invest, that they're going to need, and then once the entire world is aware that Bitcoin is way up and everybody has bought all the Bitcoin they can, somebody's going to eventually sell some, which is happening constantly all day long. People are buying and selling. And then at some point, you're going to get a cascade of people selling because they freak out and they think, oh no, maybe this is the top. And then the price will come back down. To use round numbers, let's say the price goes up over the next 9 to 12 months to $300,000 per coin, and then it corrects by 50% down to $150,000 per coin very temporarily before it climbs back up to five, six, seven, $800,000 a coin, maybe $1 million per coin by 2029. We don't know. But those cycles are normal. They've happened every time for the last 4 years. Typically, Bitcoin is doing exactly what it normally does in 2024. Bitcoin was behaving the exact same way as it is right now in 2020, in 2016, in 2012. And always it had at least another 9 to 12 months of very aggressive upward price trajectory before all of the people that could climb aboard the Bitcoin train finally had. And you run out of new people who want to climb aboard, and then you get a price correction to, again, a price much higher than today's price, but still below the peak. And then it, continues to climb from there. Similar to the way you see with the stock market, where about every 10 years or so, there is a recession where the stock market just gets to a point where it's just unsustainably high, and then it goes through a price correction. Now, that in the case of the stock market is primarily caused by the Federal Reserve printing money. In the case of Bitcoin, it's primarily driven by the natural technology adoption life cycle. So this has happened 4 times now, 2012, 2016, 2020, and now 2024. So why do I think we have another 9 to 12 months of upward price trajectory? Because we've always had historically, and because Bitcoin is behaving exactly right now as it has in the past, and because just my sense is that about the same number of people are aware that Bitcoin is way up right now here in late November of 2024 was the case in late November of 2012, late November of 2016, late November of 2020. And that was always the case, that there was a significant amount of upward price trajectory still ahead. Certainly history would indicate that that will be the same again. All right. Also, and this may be helpful to understand, why does everybody not know everything's happening all the time? So the average person, again, 95% of the world doesn't know Bitcoin is way up. Now, how could that be? Well, one of the most valuable things I did in politics is I personally, with my own two hands, knocked on 8,500 doors. 8,500 doors, 8,500 doors spread across two election cycles. And what you think is that everybody on the other side of that door is paying close attention to the same things that you're paying close attention to, like who's ahead in the race, and who just dropped an attack ad, and who the mayor just endorsed. And when you knock on the door, you realize none of these people are paying any attention to any of that. They're focused on things that matter to them, like how their kids doing in school, when they have their haircut scheduled for later in the week, how are they going to get food on the table when the price at the grocery store seems to have gone up 50% from 4 years ago. That is what people are thinking about. People are not thinking, I'm going to open up the stocks app on my iPhone. I'm going to add Bitcoin to the stocks app. I'm going to compare its performance to Ethereum and to the US dollar and to all these other things. And I'm going to figure out that Bitcoin's way up. Nobody's paying attention to that. Now, over time, they will. Like right now, I am just starting to get out of the blue messages from people that know I'm into Bitcoin, but they're not into Bitcoin. Like earlier today, somebody out of the blue, hey, Joel, just want to see if we can get together and talk about Bitcoin. Now, I was getting virtually zero of those sort of messages between, for most of the last couple of years. And they're just starting right now. And I know from past experience, what will happen is as the price gets higher and higher and higher, the volume of those messages will increase. And you can tell we're in sort of the late stages of the price cycle when I'm getting messages out of the blue from people I hadn't heard from in years. Everybody's wanting to talk about Bitcoin. People are wanting to buy Bitcoin who have no idea what it is. Everybody's certain that they're going to get rich in Bitcoin no matter what. They don't want to spend any time or energy doing due diligence. Like, we're just not there yet. We're in the very early stages where the only people that are aware that Bitcoin is up are people like you who follow me on Facebook and are watching this video live. That is a very, very, very microscopically small percent of the population that is spending their time that way. So if you're watching this video, you are one of the very small number of people that is aware Bitcoin is in the early stages of a very aggressive upward price run. The rest of the world will slowly figure that out over the coming months, typically somewhere in the October, November timeframe of the year after the presidential election, which is the year after the Bitcoin halving, which happened earlier this year, where the new issuance supply drops in half, which is part of the reason the price goes up. So probably around October or November of next year will be the point at which it crescendos in a euphoria, and then we get some sort of a price correction. That does not mean we won't get small price corrections of 10, 20, even 30% between now and then, but they'll be short-lived and generally continuing to go just straight up. So anyway, that's where we are. It feels like we've got about 9 to 12 months of additional upward price trajectory, and you will know that we are, deep into that process when every random person is talking about Bitcoin. And right now, just about the only people talking about Bitcoin, following Bitcoin, or interested in Bitcoin are people who follow people like me on Facebook, which is a very small percentage of the total population. A very tiny percentage of the population spends any time, is even friends with me on Facebook. So the total population, even here in Mississippi, that follows somebody that's constantly talking about Bitcoin on Facebook is like a couple percentage of the population. So how would the average person even know Bitcoin's way up? They're not watching CNBC. They're not reading Yahoo Finance. They're not, opening the Wall Street Journal every day and looking at Bitcoin news. They're just not. The average person has no idea. So they will have an idea over time. That is coming. It will play out over the next, 9 to 12 months, but we're not there yet. So what does that mean? Well, it means if I were you, I would do exactly what I've already done, which is buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can at today's prices so that as the world slowly wakes up over the next 9 to 12 months and everybody that could possibly adopt Bitcoin during this cycle figures out Bitcoin's going up and adopts it, you have bought Bitcoin before all that happens, meaning you're buying it at, $93,000 a coin instead of 120, 140, 180, 210, like a bunch of other people are going to. So if you want to know why Bitcoin behaves the way it does, why does it go through price cycles? Why does it go up and down? The one and only book you need to read to understand that is The Bullish Case for Bitcoin by Vijay Boyapati. It's got a picture of a bull standing up. It's like a bull human combo standing up on the cover. It's called The Bullish Case for Bitcoin by Vijay Boyapati. And it will explain exactly why Bitcoin's price does what it does and what's behind that and why all technology adoption works that way. It's just you don't normally see the technology adoption so clearly displayed in the price of the asset. So all technology adoption goes through these waves of adoption. It's just that usually there's not an actual price that you can check on a daily basis that's directly linked to the wave of technology adoption. So as the internet and other things were going through technology adoption life cycles, you could look at the stock price of some of the companies that were in the internet sector, but you could never actually look at the price of the internet. If there had been a price of the internet, you would have seen it go through the same thing. It would have gone through a wave and then crash, to price correct in 2020, or sorry, the year 2000 with the dot-com bust. And then you would have seen a wave that sort of crested and probably came back down in 2003, 2004. And then you would have seen a wave that came back down in 2008, 2009 with that recession. Then you would have seen a wave of adoption, in 2009, or sorry, from, until 2011, 2012. So all technology adoption goes through waves. The only difference is with Bitcoin, you can literally watch it right there in the price. And but anyway, the book, The Bullish Case for Bitcoin by Vijay Boyapati, explains exactly why that happens and helps you understand it, which makes it, people are a lot more comfortable investing in Bitcoin when they understand why it's behaving, why the way it's behaving. And by far the best way to figure out and understand why Bitcoin is behaving the way it is behaving is to read Vijay Boyapati's book, The Bullish Case for Bitcoin. Okay, so to summarize, we're very early in the cycle. We probably have 9 to 12 months left. The total number of people that are reachable and understand where we are will keep increasing over the next 9 to 12 months until every random person you know is asking you about Bitcoin, including random people that you meet in the grocery store. That's not happening yet, but that will happen. And the price will go typically stratospherically higher from where we are, and that's just how it works. So, read The Bullish Case for Bitcoin by Vijay Boyapati if you want to understand why that is. And if you don't, just buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can, hold on for it as long as conceivably possible, and enjoy the ride, which you can do today. The best place to buy Bitcoin is always Coinbase.com. And for until midnight tomorrow, Friday night, so for the next 48 hours plus, you can, if you go to Coinbase, they have a banner across the top. That's Coinbase, Coinbase.com. They have a banner across the top where you can get $50, $50 of free Bitcoin as long as you buy at least $1 of Bitcoin. So you can go to Coinbase, sign up for an account, get $50 of free Bitcoin. The link is coinbase.com/partner/get50. But the easier way to do is just go to coinbase.com and click on the blue banner across the top that says get $50 of free Bitcoin by signing up and creating a new account. So you can do that today if you don't have a Coinbase account. And if you do have a Coinbase account, again, my recommendation is buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can, because once we really continue to get going in this cycle, we got a long way to go before we get as high as it's going to get. You might as well own as much Bitcoin as you can while the price is still low. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks.